Hi guys, Daniel back again with another video for you. This time we're taking a look through the pages of issue 12 of Combat Patrol magazine. Don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying my content, it'll help you get similar videos recommended by YouTube. This issue comes with the first 2/3 of the sprues which make up our squad of 5 Terminators, plus that all important teleport Homer. The remaining section and bases coming next time in issue 13. 2 issues will set you back $19.98 and a squad of Terminators from Games Workshop cost £42.50. These however are slightly different from the ones we get, so it's not a direct comparison, but the best we can do, and I think it's a pretty good one. The main difference as far as I can see is that we can't build a heavy flamer with this kit, though if you wanted to deviate from the Combat Patrol, that's a great opportunity for you to try your hand at kit bashing. Opening up the magazine, we're met immediately with 4 pages of how to build our new models, starting with the Veteran Sergeant. The next 2 pages have us building the 3 most bog standard Terminators armed with Storm Bolters and Power Fist. The 4th and final page guides us through the fella with the Assault Cannon and that all important teleport Homer. You're just gluing it to the base. Time now to learn a little more about doctrines. The Codex Astartes emphasises flexibility above all else, and I don't mean the ability to put your legs behind your head. When there's no clear path to victory, commanders employ the Tactical Doctrine, moving forward to seize ground or draw the opponent out. Enemies are left baffled by feints incomprehensible to the unaugmented mind. It's only once they're surrounded that the Space Marine plan becomes clear. Over the page we find 3 varieties of bolt gun. The bolt rifle is commonly carried by intercessors and can be used for precise single shots or as a rapid fire weapon. The Terminators we get in this issue carry a Storm Bolter, double-barreled weapons that can unleash hails of fire. Assault Bolters sacrifice some range in favour of a higher rate of fire, carried by Inceptors who plunge to the field of battle from orbit. Wherever the fighting is thickest, they soon thin the tide. Assault Bolters leads us neatly onto the Assault Doctrine, which is often the final move made by a Space Marine commander, used when the enemy is sufficiently softened up by the preceding doctrines. The Astartes forces close in to finish off their foe. Many consider facing an opponent in hand-to-hand combat to be the most worthy challenge of their skill as a warrior. Quite appropriately, we find some Space Marine melee weapons on the next page. Other than the trusty combat knife, the chainsword is the close combat weapon most commonly wielded by Space Marines. And as the name would suggest, it's a part chainsaw, part sword, chewing flesh and bone between its teeth with ease. Power fists and swords are often favoured by squad leaders and officers. They're wreathed in energy fields which either aid them in penetrating armour or multiply the user's strength twofold, making them even more deadly than they already were. While plasma and bolt pistols aren't strictly melee weapons, their compact nature allows them to be used at close quarters in one hand, allowing the wielder to target an enemy that is right on top of them, as well as being able to shoot at enemies a short distance away while not engaged in combat. Over the next couple of pages we learn about Battle Shock for the first time. This represents a unit's mental fortitude on the battlefield, mounting casualties, increasing the chances that fear will take over and make a unit unable to complete a vital task. The first of these pages talks us through this idea and when we're required to take Battle Shock tests. The second talks us through some of the consequences of failing a Battle Shock test, one of which is the affected unit being unable to contest objectives as their objective control stat is reduced to 0. You may also want to think twice before falling back from combat with a Battle Shock unit, as unlike a regular unit, they will be at risk of losing models as they attempt to make a desperate escape. This week's mission is Hold or Die, in which the Space Marine player controls 2 characters and the Infernus squad to face off against the Tyranids en masse. Who will be able to claim the most victory points and who will succumb to the fear and struggle to hold onto objectives? Well, that's up to you to find out, isn't it? The following page takes us stage by stage through the Space Marine turn, pointing out that there will be no need to test for Battle Shock in this command phase. An example of Space Marine turn 1 can be seen on the picture diagram over the page, with the Infernus squad moving into position to hold Objective 4, as well as advancing the characters in an attempt to get the jump on the Tyranids the following turn. The Tyranids' first turn may be a little different. If the Space Marines have managed to do any damage, some of the Tyranid units may be below half strength. If this is the case, they'll need to make battle shock tests before they even move. The picture diagram has them moving and shooting at the Space Marines, as well as making charges where possible to try and cause more problems for the Astartes player. Turn 2 begins and any affected units for the Space Marines will have to take battle shock tests now. In the example given, the Space Marine captain fails his battle shock test and is slain later in the turn during a brutal combat phase. The next turn for the NID begins with the command phase. Battle shock tests are taken and objectives secured, unless the unit you are trying to secure it with is battle shocked, of course. Don't forget their OC stat drops to 0 when they fail a battle shock test. This rule is seen in the example battle as the Termagants fail a test and lose out on Objective 3 as a result. Stupidly, the Von Ryan's Leapers that's still in combat with the Librarian and battle shocked attempts to fall back and is slain as the controlling player rolls a 1 or a 2 when attempting a desperate escape. The narrative continues on the next page with the Space Marines offering solemn prayers if they're victorious, and the NIDs off to their local pub if they win, or something like that. Onto the back page now, and issue 13 allows us to complete the Terminators we've started in this issue as we receive the final third of the sprue, as well as the bases for them to stand on. And in issue 14 we're getting 2 more paints. Seems to be a lot of that going around recently, but I'm sure they'll come in handy for really jazzing up the models we have so far. Until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield.